What if I told you the entire credit card industry is built around one specific type of customer, and Gen Z is becoming their fastest growing pipeline? Credit card lending earns a 6.8% return on assets, more than 4 times the average for the rest of banking. That number should tell you everything. An accident, not a coincidence. A business model, one engineered over decades to extract maximum value from the people least equipped to fight back. And right now that target is you. Banks are not making billions off rich people. They are making billions off 22-year-olds who just got their first card. And I am going to show you exactly how it works. Here is what most people think. Banks make their money from fees. The annual fee, the late fee, maybe that foreign transaction charge you forgot about. But that is only the surface layer. Ain't the real machine, runs 3 levels deep. And by the time you understand how it works, you will never look at your card the same way again. Let's talk money first. Real numbers. In 2025, the top 5 card-issuing banks collected approximately $120 billion in credit card interest income. $120 billion. That is more than the GDP of most countries, and it came almost entirely from people carrying balances month to month. At the same time, U.S. banks collected $66 billion in interchange fees. Those are the swipe fees charged every single time you tap your card at a register. Every transaction generates roughly in $60 to $2 paid directly to the card-issuing bank. You never see it, the merchant pays it, and it adds up to $66 billion a year. So before a single person misses a single payment, the banks are already pulling in $66 billion just from people spending money they technically have. And late fees. Americans paid over $14 billion in late fees in 2022 alone. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau actually tried to cap those fees at $8 per incident. Banks sued the government. The rule was vacated in May 2025. The 8 fees stayed exactly where the banks wanted them. In some cases $41 per missed payment every month until you catch up. Coincidence? A lobby. Here is where it gets specifically dangerous for your generation. Gen Z credit card balances grew 62% between March 2022 and February 2024. 62% in less than 2 years. 1 in 7 Gen Z cardholders has already maxed out a card, and 33% of Gen Z 1 in 3 has a subprime credit score below 600. That number is up 8 points in just 2 years. Here is the brutal part. According to Harvard Business Review, subprime cardholders are the most profitable customers banks have. Not the worst. The best. The person with a 580 credit score carrying at 29% APR is not a liability on their books. That person is a revenue stream. You are not a customer to them. You are a product. But wait, you pay your balance in full every month. You are the responsible one. You read the fine print. You think the system cannot touch you. Let me show you exactly why that is the most dangerous assumption you can make. Even if you never carry a balance for a single day, not one day, banks are still making money off every swipe you make. That 160 cent to $2 in interchange fee does not care if you pay in full. It fires the moment you tap your card. The merchant absorbs it. You feel nothing. And the bank collects it forever. But the real play with full payers is the rewards game. And this one is purely psychological. Research shows that cardholders spend up to 83% more when using credit versus cash. Not a little more. 83% more. Rewards cardholders specifically spend 18% more than non-rewards cardholders. The dopamine hit of earning points is not incidental to the product, it is the product. If those points exist to make you spend more, and the math works out almost perfectly for the bank. Their interchange income per transaction averages around 1.82%. Their rewards costs average around 1.57%. So they are already profitable on interchange alone, before they charge a single dollar of interest. The rewards program is not a benefit. It is a psychological engine built to increase your spending. And it gets worse. The CFPB released a report in 2024 showing that the 6 biggest card issuers spent 40% more on rewards programs in 2022 compared to 2019, yet consumer complaints about rewards also increased 70% in the same period. Why? Because while banks were spending more on rewards, they were also quietly devaluing them, changing redemption ratios, adding blackout dates. American consumers forfeit approximately $500 million per year in earned rewards because of devaluation, expiration, or program changes they never noticed. They gave you the carrot. Then they made the carrot smaller while you were not looking. Now let's get into how they actually get you. Because none of this is happening through fine print alone. It is happening through design. The minimum payment. The most quietly destructive feature in all of consumer finance, and almost nobody talks about it with the level of urgency it deserves. Researchers at the University of Warwick found that when minimum payment information was removed from billing statements, mean repayments increased by 70%. 70%. Inicio. And at least 22% of near minimum payers show what researchers call measurable anchoring behavior, meaning the minimum payment number on the statement is literally overriding their own financial judgment and dragging their payment down toward that floor. Think about what that means. The bank puts a small number on your statement. Your brain reads that number as a target, not a floor, and instead of paying $800 on your balance, you pay $35 because that is what the statement suggested. The bank did not force you. They just put a number in a prominent place. That is all it took. Ain's dollar balance at 24% APR, paying only the minimum, which typically starts around $100 a month and shrinks as your balance does, will take you over 17 years to pay off. You will pay more than $5,800 in interest alone. More in interest than the original balance, minus. And the entire time you will feel like you are staying current, because you are technically meeting the minimum requirement. Accidental product design, intentional. Picture a 22-year-old, let's call him Marcus, who just got a first credit card award with a $3 limit. He buys a new laptop, pays his share of a few dinners, covers an emergency car repair. He hits $2,400. The minimum payment shows up, $48 feels manageable. He pays it. He pays the next one too. What Marcus does not realize is that at 28% APR, over $50 of interest is accruing every single month. He is paying $48 and adding $55 while he pays. By month 6, Marcus has paid $288 toward a balance that is now $2,600. He is further behind than when he started. Not a hypothetical. That is happening to hundreds of thousands of people right now. And the banks are not stopping there. They have an entire acquisition pipeline built specifically for your generation. Campus marketing. Banks spend heavily on college campuses, tables outside dorms, event sponsorships, branded merch, specifically to sign up customers at the youngest possible point. Getting someone at 18 versus 25 is worth more because of decades of compounding relationship value. Amen. Your first card will likely have a low limit and a high rate, specifically calibrated to catch you when your income is low and your financial literacy is lowest. Which brings us to the literacy number that should genuinely concern you. Gen Z has a 38% financial literacy rate, the lowest of any living generation. Not because this generation is less intelligent. Eniso. Because financial literacy is not taught in schools, because the content pipeline that reaches Gen Z is optimized for engagement rather than accuracy, and because the finfluencer ecosystem, while having some genuinely good voices, is riddled with creators who are paid by the very financial products they recommend. That last point deserves more time than most people give it. A creator with 800,000 followers posts a My Honest review of this travel card, but buried in the description is a paid partnership disclosure that most viewers skip. The creator gets $200 to $500 per approved signup. And the bank acquires a new cardholder who trusts the recommendation because it came from a face they see every week. The disclosure is technically there. The manipulation is also technically there. The system is not broken. It is working exactly as designed. Banks have doubled their profit margins on credit cards since 2007. They widened the spread, the gap between what they pay to borrow money and what they charge you to borrow it, by 109%. As interest rates climbed, banks raised APRs immediately. When rates fell, APRs stayed exactly where they were. The spread widened. A margin grew. You paid more. So what do you actually do with all of this? 3 rules. Concrete. At first, treat your credit card like a debit card with a paper trail. If you would not spend the cash, do not swipe the card. The points are real, the rewards are real, but they only work in your favor if you spend exactly what you would have spent anyway. The moment you spend more to earn more, the bank wins. Stop letting the points make your decisions. Second, never, and I mean never, let the minimum payment become your payment strategy. It is not a payment plan, it is a trap with a number on it. The bank wants you to pay the minimum. That is the whole design. Your goal is to pay as much as possible, as fast as possible, especially in the first 12 to 18 months of any balance. Momentum kills debt. Minimums extend it. Third, understand that your credit score is genuinely useful, but it is not a measure of financial health. A 750 credit score and 0 net worth is not success. Plenty of people with excellent credit scores are deeply in debt. Credit score optimization is a means to an end. The end is building actual assets. Do not let a metric designed by lenders to measure your value to lenders become your personal financial goal. Here is what most people will not say out loud. The credit card system is not evil in some cartoonish sense. It is a business, a sophisticated, well-lobbied, brilliantly designed business. And like any business, it can work against you or it can work for you. The difference is knowing exactly how the machine operates before you sit down at the table. Amine. Because right now, most 22-year-olds are sitting down at that table thinking they are playing a game. They are actually the game. Have you ever looked at your statement, seen the minimum payment, and just paid that? Not because you had to, but because the number felt fine. Drop it in the comments. No judgment. Because I think the answer is going to surprise a lot of people in this comment section, and that conversation matters. Ansman. If this hit different, hit the like button. It costs you nothing and it actually helps this video reach more people who need to hear it. Share it with someone in your circle who just got their first card or is sitting on a balance right now, thinking the minimum is keeping them safe. Subscribe if you are not already, because next week, we are getting into something that connects directly to this. The difference between building credit and building wealth, and why optimizing for one can actively destroy the other. The banks have had decades to build this system. You have right now to start understanding it.